So you're worried about your dog getting canine separation anxiety during the shelter in place. My name is Aaron Teixeira, I work for San Francisco SPCA, and today I'm going to talk to you about what canine separation anxiety is, how it develops, and what we can do in the home to best prepare your dog for when the shelter in place lifts. While there are currently no standardized diagnostic criteria for separation anxiety, common features include problem behaviors associated with separation from the owner. Separation anxiety is diagnosed by the breadth and severity of separation-related behaviors. Some of the most common separation-related behaviors include vocalization, destruction in the home, elimination and urination, and hyper-attachment behaviors such as following you around the house. There are also some less obvious separation-related behaviors such as lethargy and depressive-like symptoms. With current prevalence rates around 13 to 17% of all pet dogs, this means that literally millions of dogs are suffering worldwide. These separation-related behaviors can cause stress to the human, damaging the human-animal bond, and can lead to relinquishment, where the animal ends up back at a shelter like ours. So how does it develop? While research has suggested there is a genetic basis to separation anxiety in dogs, most of the research has focused on environmental risk factors. While the list of potential risk factors is quite long, some of the most common include sex of the dog, breed, origin of the dog, family lifestyle, and owner behavior. Unfortunately, development is not well understood as there is still not consistent agreement within the field. What we do know is that by currently spending 24 hours with our dogs during shelter in place, they're in for a drastic change when the shelter in place gets lifted and we go back to work. So what we can do is make this transition as seamless as possible and prepare your dog to being alone for most of the day again. Whether or not your dog shows clinical signs of separation anxiety or not, practicing these exercises will not only help for a smooth transition out of shelter in place, but it will also strengthen the human-animal bond between you and your pet. We can work on independence training, practicing our mat work and our stay work, and we can practice increasingly long separations. And we can reward calm and independent behavior within the dog spontaneously throughout the day. So let's head inside and discuss some of this work you can do at home in more detail. Great, so we brought the work inside the house now to show you exactly how to do this work inside your home. So I got Sophia here. She's a great foster dog. She doesn't know stay or go to mat, so she's a perfect dog to show you how to begin this work with your dog if you have a novice dog who doesn't know this. Also, when you're starting to do stay work, a little impulse control exercise that's really great for doing this duration work starts with asking the dog to wait while holding a treat. Now what this looks like is you hold the treat out in your hand and you say wait. If the dog goes for it, you close the hand. Wait, close the hand. Wait, wait. Yes, good girl. So you saw there she hesitated just a little bit, looked away slightly. That's what we're looking for here. So can you wait? Yes, good girl. So she looked away. I've worked with her a little bit on this, so this isn't really what it looks like when you're starting, but this is a good idea of how it's going to look. So this wait exercise really helps with the stay exercise because it teaches the dog to basically control its impulses, basically like inhibit its first response. So the dog really wants to get the treat, and it learns that when it waits for the treat, it actually gets the treat. So when we transition into stay work, the dog already knows that, oh, if I inhibit my first response here, if I kind of control my impulses, I'm going to get a reward. And if I don't, then I'm not. So basically you want to start with luring a sit just by holding the, well, she was already sitting, so by holding the treat over the dog, yes. And then once you have the dog in a sit, then you can hold your hand out, say stay with a long tone, long low tone, and slowly move backwards with your hand out, just like this. Stay, stay. Yes, good girl. She did great there. Come on, girl. Can you sit? Stay, stay. Yes, good girl. All right, and we want to change how often we reinforce these behaviors. We offer the treat. So ask her for like a 1 second stay, then ask her for a 3 second stay, and then bring it back down. We want to vary the times that we're asking her to stay. We don't want to just continuously increase the time because that gets really boring to the dog. So instead we're going to vary it a whole bunch, especially in the beginning here. We're going to make it a lot of fun, get the dog really engaged so they get optimal learning. So I'm going to say stay, stay. Oh, so if she comes out of it like that, she gave a little jump, we're not going to reward her there. So go ahead, sit. Now stay. Yes! So I made it really, really easy that time because she was losing patience. I want her to stay with me in this training, so keep her interested. So sit. Now stay, stay. Yes, good girl. And eye contact is really important in the beginning here. You really want to be really engaged with your dog visually and let them know that, you know, we're working together on this. So go ahead, sit, stay, stay. Yes, good girl. That was really good. That was good. Okay. Once you work on stays indoors and then you work on them outdoors with some more distractions, then you can start to progress the training by starting to move outside of a room while the dog stays in their stay. And this can be really, really advantageous for separation anxiety work because it teaches the dog to feel comfortable and expect rewards when it's completely alone in the room. So stay, stay, stay. Whoop, that's okay. Sit, stay. Yes, good girl. So she messed up there, so she didn't get a reward, so I dropped the criteria, and I only had her stay for like 1 second, and now she's back in the game. Sit, stay, stay. Yes, good girl. Good girl. Okay. So that's your basics for beginning to work with stay. You know, once you get there, then you can add things like distractions. You might want to take it outside to a more distraction environment, but it's really important to start in a low distraction environment like this so you get all the dog's attention. Now, moving right on to the beginnings of go to place, go to bed, go to mat, whatever you want to call it. You know, if you don't have any of these things in the shelter in place, that's okay. You can just use a blanket. So I got a blanket here that I just folded up a little bit. And I'm just going to lay this on the ground. So that's going to be our bed. And so what I'm going to do to start this work is just simply lure the dog onto the bed and then say yes as soon as the dog is on the bed. So I'm going to go ahead and put the treat right in front of her nose, lure her forward. Yes. Wait. Yes. Good girl. So I said yes a little early there. We want to say yes as soon as the dog has all 4 paws on the bed. So I'm going to lure her back over here. Come on. Good. Now this way. Yes. Good girl. So I know that I can successfully lure this behavior now. Now what's going to be really important is adding the command before. So the dog learns, when I say go to place, I'm then going to lure her onto the bed, and then she's going to get a treat. So basically it's just association between the command, the lure, the behavior, and the treat. So I'm going to go ahead and get her attention again. Sophia, come here. So I'm going to use go to bed. You can use go to place. You can use go to mat. You can use anything. So go to bed. Yes, good girl. And you want to get really excited here to get the dog really into it. So I'm going to go ahead, lure, go to bed. Yes, good girl. And then I'm going to give her 2 treats for that one. Good. We don't want to just do 1 treat every time. That gets really boring. And then so go to bed. Yes, good girl. And get into a rhythm here. It's really good for them. Dogs get really engaged when you go quickly. So go to bed. Yes, good girl. Okay, come here, you ready? Go to bed. Yes, good girl. Okay. Go to bed. Yes, good girl. Okay, come on back over here. Give her a freebie there. And go to bed. Yes, good girl. So it looks like she's kind of getting into it. Now I'm going to start to fade the lure just a little bit. It might be a little early because she literally just started this 5 minutes ago, but we'll give it a try. So what that looks like is I'm slowly going to fade the actual lure onto the bed. So instead of having the treat right on her nose the entire time, I'm going to be a little bit further away and try to make my movements a little bit less exaggerated. So go to bed. Yes, good girl. So she's got that pretty good. Let's try it again. Go to bed. Yes, good girl. Okay, go to bed. Yes, good girl. Good girl. Oh my goodness, that was good. That was good. This dog really likes praise, so I'm gonna give her a little bit of praise. See that tail start wagging. So now once she's on the bed, now we can also work on luring a down. This is something you can get in 1 day. So I'm gonna ask the dog to sit. Oop, she backed up off the mat. So I'm just gonna have her sit on the mat. Good. Oop. Sit. Yes, good girl. I'm gonna pay her for that because it's a little bit hard for her to do. Now we're gonna put the treat right on her nose and just slowly go down. Yes, good girl. Good girl. I'm going to feed her again since she's staying there. Good job. And now we're going to pull her out, and then we're going to do that same thing again. So I'm going to position myself in a way that gets her right onto the bed. Come here. Sit. Now I'm going to add the word since I already lured it. Sophia. Down. Yes. Good girl. You're doing great. You're doing great. Yes. Make sure the training is fun. If you start getting frustrated, it can really taint the training session. Dogs can get a negative association to it if you start bringing negative emotions forward. So if you get frustrated, if the dog is losing interest, go ahead and end the session. That's totally okay. We want to make sure that these are fun, and you want to leave the dog wanting more for the next session. So go ahead and come here. Sit. Down. Yes, good girl. Now I'm going to do a down stay on the mat. So we're going to put everything together we just talked about. So let's see how this works. So stay, stay. Yes, good girl. Dang, that was good. Come on. Come here. Sit. Down. Yes, good. I'm still going to pay her for that. Still going to give her a treat. And now I'm going to say stay, stay, stay. Good girl. That was so good. She's doing amazing. This is literally her first time doing this. Sit. Yes. Good girl. And yeah, these are just some great ways to start working on stay work and mat work in your home to prepare your dog for being ready to be alone again and without you 24 hours a day once the shelter in place lifts. A final thing you want to do as well is practice some separations inside the house. So instead of letting your dog just follow you around the house if that's what it chooses to do, just practice doing short separations of 5 to 10 minutes in another room, just teaching the dog, you're not always going to be by me, and this is just basically going to be a nice transition from being with you 24 hours a day to not being with you for 8 hours a day if you go to work for 8 hours. And then we want to slowly increase this time as the shelter in place gets closer to being lifted, so that by the time you go back to work, she's completely ready to be alone by herself. By practicing these exercises, you'll be ahead of the game and you'll be working proactively to make sure your dog is as healthy as possible during this unique time. Stay healthy and stay safe, and thanks for tuning in.